Those lights are good. Those practicals are good up there, hanging from long cords, real naked bulbs. The set designer accommodates the story and the script. And often after he's built a set, the story reaccommodates the sets that the designer built. As in the giant quarry set, which became greater because the imagination of a designer like Elliot Scott was perhaps much broader than my imagination when I first conceived certain elements that had to be in the set. So his ideas reopened my eyes to my own movie.
So this week for my studies, we were tasked with going on to IMDb of one of our favourite films and researching the production designer. The film I picked was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. That has been a long-time favourite film of mine. I love adventure films. I would pick this one over Raiders, just personal preference. I think it's really fun. It introduces my favorite Indiana Jones character, Short Round, and it has one of my favorite lines of dialogue.
We came from a small village. Peasants there told us Pankow Palace was growing powerful again because of some ancient evil.
Village stories, Dr. Jones. They're just fear and folklore.
You know, the villagers also told us Pankow Palace had taken something.
Dr. Jones, in our country, it's not usual for a guest to insult his host.
I'm sorry. Thought we were talking about folklore.
It has the tense bridge scene. Like, this film has so much that I adore and so much inspiration that I want to try a lot of techniques that they use in this. Just watching the behind the scenes, I found out that there was stop motion involved with the minecart chase. And I knew they used miniatures. I sort of picked up on that, but I didn't realize that ILM did stop motion within those sequences, which I think is really cool.
We shoot one frame of film while everything is advancing forward, while the camera's advancing forward, while the models are advancing forward. Then Tom Santamon animates all the figures to make them look like they're real people moving around. Then we shoot one more frame of film, animate the figures again. Inside these are precision-made metal ball and socket joints. And then another frame. Tom might spend anywhere from 1 minute to 5 minutes per frame animating the figures. So it could take many hours to shoot one shot that might last 4 or 5 seconds on the screen.
And I know that me picking a film that is typically viewed, probably not so much now, but as the one of the worst ones, so much so that the people who created it don't even like it.
So George came up with this idea that it was going to be about the Kali cult and have a lot to do with black magic, and I had never done anything like that before, so I kind of kept nodding my head. Well, if you guys think that's a good idea, sure, I'll go along with it.
The story ended up, for whatever reason, turned a lot darker. I think we decided to go darker. Part of it, I guess, I was going through a divorce at the time and I wasn't in a good mood.
People have talked about that endlessly, but today we're here to talk about Elliot Scott, who is the production designer. So he was born in England, and as well as production designing, he was also an art director. But we're focusing on the production design today, and he has a long history of production design. Some of his more well-known films that he did the production design is Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and The Last Crusade, and The Labyrinth, which are all films that I think look incredible. So a part of his crew in the art department on Temple of Doom was Roger Kane and Alan Casey. Alan Casey was the chief art director, and set decoration was Peter Howard. And then lots and lots and lots of people made up the whole art department, everything from construction to scenic artists to modelers, the whole team, and it shows why, because some of the sets they build are huge.
In all sets, we're trying to add a kind of dimension to the story a bit. There's no point in spending money on sets if they're not going to add something to the film, and so sets are kind of background to the emotion or the action that's taking place on them.
Just keep the whole set active with some sort of movement. So steam. This should be a real eyeful, no matter where we turn, it should be a real eyeful.
Working with Spielberg is wonderful because Spielberg really does plan very much, and he sticks to his plans, so that by giving him models like this, he can work out lengths of walks and runs, heights, in tremendous detail, just what he's going to do. It doesn't look awfully big, the way you're looking at it now, but in fact, the set was about 45 foot high and up to 300 foot long. So it was a very big set and fun to build because it had so many angles and so much action.
So along with looking into this, we were tasked with whoever production designer we chose, we go back and watch one of their previous films. So I chose the first film that Elliot Scott was the production designer, which happened to be The Scapegoat from 1959. It's an Alec Guinness-led film where he runs into another man, his doppelganger. They look exactly alike, and he sort of gets tricked into sorting this man's problems. I really like the premise and the concept. I think it's a really fun idea. I don't think the execution was great. They didn't really go into a lot of the areas that I found particularly interesting. The main character who got tricked, he was trying to convince this other guy's family that he wasn't who they thought they were, and they're like, oh, you're just sick. You'll remember, you just hit your head. He's like, no, this is silly. But then he sort of was like, all right, I'll play along. And then the story sort of takes a turn where there's a bit of mystery involved, but they sort of just breeze past it really quickly. I know this is based on a short story, I believe. In terms of production design, fantastic. All the exterior shots are incredible. There are castles everywhere. A lot of it was filmed on a sound stage. I could be completely wrong. There's not a heck of a lot of information on the film. If they built the interior, then they did a fantastic job. Every space feels lived in. The amount of decorating on the walls is incredible. All the bars feel very much alive. The film sort of is mainly set in one building. You never feel boring look at it, and that isn't just the production design. That comes down to the lighting and staging as well. They definitely do a lot with the lighting and camera work to a lot of fantastic effect. I know they played around with shadows a lot. It was a financial and critical failure from my understanding, which is a shame because it's really not that bad. It's not amazing. I think it's definitely worth a watch. I think it could inspire a lot of cool stories. For his first role as production designer, I think Elliot did a fantastic job, and he's gone on to do so many other fantastic things. Like I was just saying before, the two Indiana Jones movies that he was the production designer, and Labyrinth, some really cool films to have under your belt. Just going into everything that you have to create as a production designer, the amount of planning around all these people. You've got a whole art department under you. I don't think I would be a good production designer. I think I could work well in a team, but just all of that on your shoulders must be insane. It could be fun telling people what to do. But set decoration and props, I really don't know which one I would prefer to do. I think in set decoration, if I was just the sole person doing it, I would have a really hard time. I'm not a super construction sort of person. But if I'm told what to do, I can do it. I can move stuff, I could be a lugger. That would be great. Props, I probably feel more comfortable going out and buying stuff. I would love the experience in both. I think that would be really, really cool. I love learning about films. This has been a really cool project to look into, a cool task to do. So I hope you enjoyed this little video. Thank you. Then